Hello everyone and welcome back to the Untrimmed Slayer Cape series. In the last episode we spent 50 hours at Wintertodt, did a few quests, and opened all of the loot from Wintertodt. This episode we're going to be doing a lot of questing to get the levels and unlocks that are going to be really helpful during the Slayer grind. And after cutting the gems and cleaning the herbs from the Wintertodt loot, I jumped just straight into it. The first quest on the list was the Grand Tree, which unlocks gnome gliders as a form of transportation, but also got 45 attack and 29 magic. Next up was Horror from the Deep, and I gotta say, for whatever reason, I am just really bad at this quest. I died to the Dagonoth Mother here, as well as on my main account. Luckily, on my second attempt, I didn't even use a single bit of food, and that's without using ranged or melee at all. But anyway, with the boss fight out of the way, that brings us to level 20 ranged, 33 magic, and 33 strength. Next up, Doric's quest for 35 mining. Then, Death to the Dorgation, which gives us access to the city, as well as 31 thieving and 23 range. Plus, while I was here, I went ahead and bought the bone crossbow and the 1000 bone bolts for range training later. Next up, the Giant Dwarf, which gives access to minecarts as well as 36 mining, 34 smithing, 41 crafting, and 32 thieving. I did manage to get an easy clue while I was collecting supplies for the Giant Dwarf, so let's complete that now. The reward is 2 uniques, actually kind of interesting. The next quest on the list is the Watchtower, but it has 2 prerequisites that I need to deal with first. First is 40 mining, and the second is Dragon Bones, which took a while to get, but I managed to fire strike down a green dragon in the wilderness for them. This quest was a little interesting to complete without protection from dragonfire, but I did get it done, and that unlocks the Watchtower teleport, as well as 40 magic. Next up, Elemental Workshop 2, which rewards us with 37 smithing and 43 crafting. Getting ahead is the next quest on the list, and after resetting my stats at the Ferox Enclave, the quest is easily completed, getting another 4000 crafting XP and 3200 construction XP. Then I tackled another chapter of Recipe for Disaster, this time the Pirate Pete subquest, which brings us to 44 crafting. Next is the Feud, which is actually a really important quest to unlock. It gets us 38 thieving, but more importantly allows us to unlock Ali Morissane's rune shop, which at the moment is our only consistent way of getting higher tier runes like Cosmics and Laws. After that, Sleeping Giants, which gets us 39 smithing, Enter the Abyss for 9 rune crafting, and then Demon Slayer, which is really just a prerequisite for some other quests. Next is one that you may have guessed from the intro, Bone Voyage. This quest is going to be ludicrously important in the future. There's too much to go into at the moment, but for now, it'll be my main method of training Hunter through birdhouse runs. And after the first birdhouse run, our Hunter level went straight from 9 to 14. Next on the task list is completing 100% Karen Favor, which involves a few quests and a little bit of busy work. First, the Queen of Thieves, which gives us 39 thieving, then Hosidia's Favor, first pushing plows, then creating Sulphur's Fertilizer, which gets us 33 farming, and finally completing the Depths of Despair quest, which brings us to 61 agility. The next house to tackle is Shazian, which means taking care of a bunch of soldiers to start, completing the Tale of the Righteous, and then prayer flicking 25 Shazian soldiers while smacking them with an adamant scimitar, which unlocks some pretty neat ranged armor as well. Third is Lovacaine, and I'm planning on mining volcanic sulfur to get favor up, but I need to get 42 mining first. While I was mining, I got a genie and I used the lamp on Slayer, and there's 42 mining. Time for 4 hours at volcanic sulfur. For those who aren't aware, the easy way to avoid taking damage while doing this is to lure a little spider to attack you to safe spot the clouds, and I'll see you in 5 hours. With that out of the way, it's almost time to move on to the Forsaken Tower, but we got a clue scroll while mining. Unfortunately, I didn't get a clip of the clue scroll reward, but I can show you what I got in the bank. Mithril plate legs trimmed, a master clue scroll, 12 cooked lobsters, and an adamant dagger. Altogether, not too bad. With that out of the way, time for the Forsaken Tower. Forsaken Tower completed, and to finish off Lovacaine Favor, I'm gonna activate the Karen minecart system. And what do you know, while doing that, another genie and another lamp on Slayer. Next is Arceus, which involves rooting around a dusty library for books for most of it. I got 10 rune crafting from the first bit, moving on to the Ascent of Arceus, which unfortunately looks like this gray screen, because sometimes RuneLite does not like OBF, but the rewards for the quest are 18 Hunter and 12 rune crafting. Now before we finish off the Arceus favor with more books, I'm gonna do Temple of the Eye, which will get us a bunch of rune crafting experience, as well as unlocking Guardians of the Rift, which will be a huge source of runes later in the game. Temple of the Eye completed and 28 rune crafting. Another birdhouse run real quick brings us to 19 Hunter. And finishing up the Arceus favor at the library gets us something kinda special. Not just 29 rune crafting, but 1000 total level. And finally, the last Kourend house that we need to get favor with is Piscarilius. So we're gonna dig up some worms for them. While digging up worms, I got another genie, bringing us to 11 Slayer. And I actually got 22 Hunter just from digging up worms. But finally, with the Kourend favor out of the way, it's time to finish off the questing grind. First is the Tourist Trap, which gets us around 9,000 agility experience, as well as the ability to make darts. Then the Golem, and with that completed, that's all of the prerequisites for Shadow of the Storm. 10 minutes of flinching Agrith Gnar later, Shadow of the Storm completed, and 10,000 range experience, as well as unlocking Darklight. That brings us to 32 range, which is actually 4 levels over what we need to use the Bone Crossbow. Next is Unlatent Journey, which unlocks Hot Air Balloon Transportation, as well as getting us 34 farming. And Ghost Ahoy completed for 44 prayer, as well as a one-click teleport to the far east of Mauritania. Next, we're starting the Troll quest line with Death Plateau, and with that completed, we're going straight into Troll Stronghold. Troll Stronghold completed, and Law Rune crafting unlocked. There are only 2 quests left that I want to finish before we start on the Slayer grind, but we need to do some skilling first. 26 Herblore, 27, 28, 29, 30 Herblore, 31 Herblore, 32, 33, and 34. Next is the Tears of Guthix, which, since we waited so long to complete it, is going to give us Slayer experience, giving us a tiny boost on the way to the Untrimmed Slayer Cape. Tears of Guthix completed, and 15 Slayer. Next, another Birdhouse run for 27 Hunter, and a little bit of thieving training for baskets of apples and 40 thieving. The next morning, 30 Hunter, and finally the last skilling grind before the final quest. I need to get 38 farming to grow toad flax, so there's 35, 36, and 37 farming. Time to kill some time while my plants grow. 31 and 32 Hunter, and some Guardians of the Rift to get some extra runes, since I'm just waiting around anyway. After only a couple games, I'm at 34 rune crafting, and it's time to check on my plants. There it is, 38 farming. Time to plant my toad flax. 50 minutes of camping my toad flax later to make sure it doesn't die. There it is. Now I can make the agility potion for Tai One-Eye Trio. While I was in the area, I decided to catch a whole bunch of Karambwanji, just in case I want to raise more cats later. But there it is, Tai One-Eye Trio completed. Not only does that give us 42 cooking, 46 attack, and 37 strength, but it also unlocks our best in slot weapon for quite a while, the Karambwan Poisoned Rune Spear. And there it is. Starting next episode, we start gaining some actual Slayer levels. As always, if you liked the video, I really appreciate you leaving a like, it really does help. And if you want to see more of this series, please consider subscribing. And finally, as always, I hope all of you have a wonderful day.